James Lynch here from MiddleEasy. Happy to be joined by the number 4 ranked light heavyweight, Anthony Lionheart Smith. Anthony, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. Just trying to keep my head on straight. I'm busy as hell, but I'm happy to be here and talk to you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has, and I appreciate the time as always. How were the holidays? You were sort of telling me off air. Did you get away from everything? Were you able to spend a lot of time with the family?
Most of it was spent with the family. Typically, Christmas and around the holidays, we kind of just go somewhere. We just pick a destination and go as a family. This year we got a new house and got a new baby. So we just stayed home, man, and kind of kept it low key. It was nice.
That's awesome. When did you close on the house?
Would have been at the end of the summer. So it's
cool.
our first Christmas in the new house.
I know the last time we sort of heard from you, you were talking to Ariel Helwani on his show, and you were sort of mentioning about a knee injury. What's the latest on that in terms of your health and when you might be looking to get back in the cage?
Yeah. So I had the knee injury and then ended up with a staph infection and kind of had to go through that whole song and dance. And we're finally starting to move forward again. So I'm moving around a little bit. I just started training last week, but it's very light. Just kind of getting my feet back under me a little bit, working on getting my strength back. So physical therapy 3 times a week is going really well. So we're starting to look at dates and kind of looking like we're going to be getting back.
Would you say spring or maybe even later than that, just to be safe with the injury and everything else?
I'm looking like middle of April.
Cool.
Is when I think I'll be okay. We still got, I still got 3 or 4 hard weeks of PT to kind of get me back to where I can even start to think about starting a camp. So, I don't like sitting around at all. I like to stay busy. So, I'm hoping middle of April.
Okay. I know a fight you were looking at getting prior to all this was the Aleksandar Rakic fight. And of course, now he is now fighting Jan Blachowicz because of your injury and being out. I was just curious, did you happen to catch Rakic's response to not getting the fight with you? Because I think he didn't understand that you were obviously wanting the fight and then the injury came up. He sort of made it out like you asked for the fight even while you knew you were injured. Did you happen to see his comments?
No, I didn't. I don't pay attention to him, but
okay.
I wanted the fight. But it's hard to tell what's hurt and what's not when you're in, like, immediately after the fight. You got adrenaline and your heart's racing and like you don't feel a whole lot in there. And then afterwards, I started limping and my leg was bothering me. And then, we get back on Monday and then Tuesday, they find out, that I tore my LCL in the fight. And, we had to deal with that. And then I was set back even further with the staph infection. So,
Mm-hmm.
It was all completely out of my control. I did see on Twitter, I think it's his manager. I don't know who it is, but some guy is constantly, was constantly harassing me about, I'm ducking him or whatever. That I think we all know that's not the case. But I can't fight it. I can't fight if I'm injured, and I can't fight with staph infection. So I'm getting back as quickly as I can.
How do you think he'll do in that fight? Because Jan's coming off the title loss. How do you envision that sort of playing out?
I think it's a good matchup for Jan Blachowicz, to be honest with you. Something I think gets missed a lot, and I talked about it really heavily leading into the Israel Adesanya fight, was how well Jan Blachowicz deals with leg kicks. Rakic is primarily a kicker. He doesn't like to hang out in boxing range. We've seen it in his fight with Thiago Santos. We've seen it, in other fights that he's had. He doesn't like to be in that kind of firefight boxing range, which is fantastic. I mean, he does a great job doing it, but he's not going to be able to just control the distance and range with kicks like he does with a lot of people in there with Jan Blachowicz. Because go back and look at the Adesanya fight, Blachowicz dealt with those leg kicks very, very well. And he has historically in the past. So, and Blachowicz is a tight boxer that likes to be in that boxing range. He likes to be in close. I think he's the better wrestler. If he gets on top, I think Rakic will have a tough time.
We haven't spoken since Julianna Pena's big upset win last year. I know we were trying to link up after that. I was just curious your thoughts on that. And where do you rank that performance in some of the biggest upsets in MMA history?
Man, she made us look stupid, right? Super happy for her. People come at you when you make these predictions and talk about how you think the fight's going to go, and then you end up being wrong or whatever. Like, listen, my hat's off to Julianna Pena. I'm so happy for her and her family, and she's gonna be able to say that for the rest of her life. She's gonna live the rest of her life as a legend, as kind of the lion slayer. Like, fucking awesome for her.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it going like that. You know what I mean? I just didn't see it going like that. She knew something that no one else did. So I thought it was a fantastic, gutty performance. It's not even just that she beat her; it's the way she beat her. She didn't spam takedowns and just wear her out on the ground and then, get a choke or something and catch her. I mean, she broke her. Like, she pushed forward in those, was willing to engage with someone that nobody, I mean, Amanda Nunes knocked out Chris Cyborg cold, and Julianna Pena stood right there in the fire and took him and gave him back. The way she did it, I think, is more impressive than just her beating her.
Yeah. And of course, the main event, we had Oliveira submitting Dustin Poirier. Were you expecting that, or what did you make of Oliveira's performance and, taking out a really tough guy in Dustin Poirier?
I mean, I thought Poirier would get the win, but I was also very aware that if he ended up in too many of those grappling exchanges, that was probably going to happen. So I just, hats off to Oliveira, man. That guy's really come along. The way that he's getting takedowns is very, very strategic and really smart. His striking is dangerous, man. I mean, even though Poirier was hurting him on the feet, he was giving it, he wasn't going away. He wasn't looking for the door. He was staying dangerous in there. He did a really good job attacking the body too. And I think that led to the finish at the end. It was just, you add in the body attacks with the front kicks, and then you mix in that whole round that Poirier was stuck on his back, or 3 minutes or whatever it was, just being defensive and kind of getting beat on a little bit, and then then he gets the finish after that. Thought it was a fantastic game plan, and he kind of played the long game. Attacked the body, wear him out. He didn't do anything crazy when he was on in the dominant position, and he didn't do anything nuts to lose his position. He just grinded on him. It takes a lot of discipline to kind of take that path, and goddamn, it worked.
And those are some great fights last year. This year, we're getting spoiled with a number of really good fights as well. Next weekend, we have Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane, the former training partners, fighting it out for the undisputed heavyweight title. How do you look at that fight from a style perspective? How do you think that fight plays out?
Well, I think it's with any fight with Francis Ngannou. It's fairly basic. Can you avoid the power? I think it's that simple. If you can avoid the power of Francis Ngannou, I think it's highly unlikely he's going to beat anyone over an entirety of 25 minutes to skill set for skill set. And I don't mean anyone, but I mean at the highest level, it's going to be tough for him because that's just not his style. I think if anybody can do it, I think it's Cyril Gane. I think he's extremely defensively responsible. He's got really good footwork. He's got good power in his own right. He's athletic. He matches him physically, at least in his size. I don't see a lot of way. I don't see any way that Cyril Gane loses this fight short of getting caught. And he doesn't get hit a lot. He really doesn't. I'd like to go back, and I'm excited. I'm working that event, so I'm going to spend a lot of time really breaking down the film and really seeing like how he plays his game and how he avoids a lot of that stuff. I don't think it's going to be crazy exciting. I think Cyril Gane's going to shut him down on the outside. It's going to be a lot of long body attacks, a lot of leg attacks. He's going to disrupt him. Cyril Gane's the heavyweight version of Jon Jones. He just shuts people down and nullifies them.
Yeah, no, it's a really exciting one. And then a fight that they haven't announced yet, but it looks like it's going to happen soon here, is Yuri Prochazka fighting Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight title. How do you think that one goes? Because, Yuri's just so unorthodox, and Glover's, continuing to prove everyone wrong. And like we saw in the last fight with Jan Blachowicz.
Let's go, old man. I'm with it, man. I think this is another good matchup for Glover Teixeira. Listen, I've spoken so highly, I think even with you, about Yuri Prochazka. I love that guy's style. I think he's a maniac. I love his approach. I love his martial arts mindset. And he's just a wild man in there. And I love it. I would love to share the octagon with him. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I like how he presses forward. It's like a video game. He's just all over the place. I really enjoy watching that guy fight. I can't say enough good things about him. And I can't think of anything negative to say about him. So really high on that guy. But I also do believe that Glover Teixeira matches up very well with him. At the end of the day, Yuri Prochazka got taken down and mounted by Dominick Reyes. If Dominick Reyes can do it, like a hurt, tired Dominick Reyes can do it, a fresh, champion mindseted Glover Teixeira can absolutely do it. So I think that Glover has a big advantage in the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu department of that fight. It's just, can he stay safe? And listen, he's been in there with killers. He was in there. He stayed safe with me. He stayed safe enough with Ion Cutelaba. He stayed safe with Thiago Santos. He stayed safe with Jan Blachowicz. So at this point, I don't think it's a question anymore. Does Glover have the ability to stay safe to get to his good positions? And I think he can. And it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I think he will. I really do.
If the UFC came to you and said, could you be a backup for this fight? Because, they have the Jan Blachowicz and Rakic fight. Is that something you'd be interested in? Or are you kind of looking more to just get a fight booked and worry about that?
No, I would. Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as I didn't have anything booked, but we don't know when that's going to be, but yeah, I would absolutely do that.
Well, because you don't have a fight book. Like I said, Rakic and Blachowicz are fighting. I'm assuming if all goes well, knock on wood, there's no injuries, everything's good there.
Right.
But you're the one guy who's out there who's highly ranked, so that's what sort of made me think.
I'm the only guy. Yeah, I would totally be willing to do that. And just to be a part of it, you know what I mean? It's just to be there, to give me a reason to be in shape, and if it doesn't, if I end up not fighting, it's a fantastic reason to do a training camp for no reason, get paid for it, and then just book a fight really quickly. So, yeah, man, I think that this whole story is going to play itself out really nicely. I think, I do believe that Glover Teixeira can and will beat Yuri Prochazka, and I think I'm one away. So, if I can get a fight, I think that I think the table is set for me and my old buddy Glover to run that back, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible, because I don't want Glover thinking I'm out here calling him out or being disrespectful, because he's been nothing but nice and kind to me. At the end of the day, it's business, and he knows what I want, and I know what he wants. He wants to keep it, and I want to take it. So, yeah, I think the story is going to write itself really nicely.
Fight they announced yesterday finally is going to happen. Colby Covington, Jorge Masvidal. What do you think of that style matchup? Yeah, I'm excited. What are your thoughts on it? And who do you see coming out on top?
Man, I knew you were going to ask about this one. Colby Covington is almost a mirror of Kamaru Usman. He really is. He's not quite as good of a striker. He's not as clean and technical and probably as powerful. I think his cardio is probably better than Usman's. His pace is higher. His output's higher. I don't see anything in the Usman Masvidal fight that leads me to believe that Colby Covington won't win that fight. It's an unpopular opinion. But like him or hate him, Colby Covington, the guy can fight, and people look at what he says, and they look at his persona and his social media, and they forget that goddamn guy can fight, and he's willing to, and he's down for a dog fight, and that's what he's looking for. The guy walked all over Robbie Lawler, and fairly unimpeded. You know what I mean? He's been in there twice and given Kamaru Usman two of the toughest fights he's ever had. You can't discredit that. And Masvidal is historically not done well with really high level, high paced wrestlers. So, big Masvidal fan. I just don't like. I don't like the matchup for him.
We talked about sort of when you're looking to return and maybe even doing like a potential backup situation. Is there an opponent out there though that would interest you? Because a lot of these guys are getting booked up. I think the one name that's out there, and I'm not saying you're calling him out, but I'm just throwing him out there because he's a notable guy that doesn't have a fight booked, is Dominick Reyes. What are your thoughts on potentially that fighter? Is there someone else you're looking at?
I mean, I would fight Dominick Reyes. There's no one I wouldn't fight. Mm-hmm. I would. I just don't know. What are the goals here, right? I'm trying to get to a title fight. The UFC said, a win over Dominick Reyes gets me a title fight. I'm fine. But I have a hard time believing that a win over a guy that's lost 3 in a row is going to get me any closer to a title. I mean, I like paychecks, and you know what I mean? I like running out there and getting better at what I'm doing and stacking up wins as much as anyone. But it's got to mean something. You know what I mean? It's got to, if it means something, if the UFC says that means something to them, then for sure, I would absolutely fight Dominick Reyes. But if it's just, we're just going out there just to fight, just to fill a spot on a card, and get a paycheck, I get paychecks other places. You know what I mean?
Completely.
It's got to mean something. And I got a lot less time ahead of me, than I got behind me. So
you got to be smart about it for sure.
Yeah, we got to be smart about it. Again, I'll fight anybody. I don't care, but I want fights that mean something. So I would not turn that fight down, but it's got to mean something. And so I don't know what that means. There's not a lot of guys left out there that are unbooked. So I think Nikita Krylov, I don't think has a fight, but that
was the other name I was thinking of.
Not a super high ranked guy, not super known, and not on a win streak. So like, what does that do for me? Like, okay, well, I'll have a conversation about it for sure, and we can talk it out. But I think the only guy that's got to win, that's if we keep going down, is I think it's Paul Craig. I think that's the
Right.
next
Yeah.
guy with a win. Again,
But
is that what the
he's ranked
UFC
pretty
wants?
low though. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
thing.
he's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
ranked 10
Yeah.
or 11 or something like that. Which, you know what I mean? If that means something to the UFC, fine. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how close that gets me, but I like Paul Craig. I think I think I've said this several times. I like Paul Craig a lot. I think he's a funny guy to listen to. His accent cracks me up. Seems like a guy you could have a beer with. You know, I'd be willing to give him that opportunity and run it out there with him. I think it'd be a fun fight just with the jiu-jitsu part of it. Yeah, everyone always kind of pegs Paul Craig as the jiu-jitsu guy in the division, and that bothers me a little bit. I think it's me, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what that looks like. So I think the UFC's looking, and my management's kind of talking about it right now, and they're probably having the same conversation you and I are having. You know,
Okay.
what does that do? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Where does that get us?
It's got to make sense. Yeah,
it's got
for
to.
sure.
It's got it.
Just quickly, one of your past opponents, Rashad Evans, coming out of retirement, going to fight for Eagle FC. Just your thoughts on him, you know, making this comeback at, I think, 42 years of age.
Yeah, I'm a little upset with Rashad right now, to be honest with you. He was supposed to work the desk with me this weekend, and because he's got this, you know, he's a big time fighter again. He had to, you know, he's not working the desk with me anymore because he's training for this fight. So I've been giving him a bunch of shit about it for the last couple of days, but I'm really happy for him, man. He seems to be in a much better place than when him and I fought. He just seems like a different person, you know, and you know, I've been very vocal about Rashad kind of mentoring me, not just, you know, not in just the broadcasting sense of it, but just in life. And I always know if I got a problem just in life in general, I need someone to talk to. Typically Rashad is the first person that pops in my head because he's so experienced in life. He's been through it all. He's been in his ups and his downs. He's been the world champion. He's been the guy on a losing streak. He's, you know, business advice and relationships and kids. And, you know, he's like my little secret weapon. You know, I always know that when I spend some time with Rashad, whether it be on the phone or in person, or then I'm going to leave that experience with something really positive, and I'm going to feel a lot better about myself and what I have going moving forward. So I just really hope that this doesn't turn out to be a negative experience for him. And that doesn't mean a loss. Like, Rashad seems to be much happier retired than he was competing.
Right.
He was freer. Just seemed like a happier person. And I don't want him to lose that. I want him I want to keep the same Rashad I got right now. So I just hope that the experience goes great for him. He seems to be having a lot of fun. He seems to be enjoying it. I think he's doing it for the right reasons. He doesn't need to fight. Obviously, you know, nice paychecks are nice, but he doesn't need it. So it seems like he's doing it very much because he just wants to, and you know, he still has some competitive itches he needs to scratch still. So I just hope the whole thing's, you know, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't hope he just goes out there and just starts with someone and, you know, feels good and sits back down and comes and be my friend again.
There you go. Yeah, no, for sure. And sticking with commentary, we haven't spoken since Dominick Cruz made his comments about DC, saying he doesn't do his homework and he mutes his commentary. As someone who's a fighter and also does some, you know, analyst and commentary work, what were your thoughts on that?
You know, I would just check down to kind of what Dominick said himself later on after those comments. It's not what you say. Sometimes it's where you say it and who's listening. So that was my issue with it. Everyone has their rights to, or their right to an opinion. I'm sure that I'm just not a lot of people's cup of tea when it comes to my analysis and when I'm working the desk at ESPN. But, you know, that's just who I am and how I do it. So everyone has are entitled to that. I just don't think, and you've heard, you know me. I mean, How many times have I gone off about some of the things that they've said, but I've been very vague about it if I brought it up. But I've also went to those people first and had those conversations with them. So it's just a time and place thing. You know, I've had issues with Bisping. I've had issues with Daniel and even Felder. You know, where I didn't come out and just trash them. You know what I mean? Me and Bisping had a little bit of a thing, but you know, it wasn't like I was talking badly about his performance and his research, and you know, I just didn't like what he said. And we've all had those conversations with each other, and there's been fighters who, you know, who have worked the desk or done some stuff for the UFC and then didn't like what I had to say. So, and we've all had those conversations. So I just think that doing it even if you say it somewhere, I think fight week, the week of your own fight, when the biggest eyes and the most microphones are around you, I think it's just bad time and place. But they seem to be okay with it at this point.
Does Jon Jones fight this year, do you think, with everything going on?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
I do.
He comes back. And my last question is: Conor McGregor still mad at you?
Is he? I don't know. I don't know
what the latest is. I saw you guys go back and forth on Twitter, or maybe just him going at you on Twitter. But I know that's kind of annoying because he's got all those followers too. But how has that been?
I think Conor likes me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Conor likes me, and at the very least, Conor respects me. And in me, I respect him as well. I respect what he's done in the sport. He's changed it. He's done a lot in this sport to really change the landscape of it. But I do also believe that Conor respects people who will call him on his bullshit, and or just call it for what it really is. It's one thing to my job is essentially to promote Conor when he fights, and I'm fine doing that. But after the fight, my job is also to talk about what happened and be very honest, clear, and concise about it. So if you don't like that, I'm okay with that, because I stand behind my analysis. I stand behind it because I've been in this game significantly longer than Conor has. Obviously not at the highest level, but I've earned the right to have an opinion on this sport. And some guys like that and some guys don't. But I think Conor respects me. I've never attacked him personally. I've never attacked his personality or the things that he's done. There's things that he's done that I haven't liked. And if I'm asked about it, how do I feel about it? I'll say I'm not a big fan of it, but I've never attacked him. But I think he would deal with that stuff better than critiquing his fighting, though. And that's how a lot of guys are. Conor is probably more offended by me criticizing his performances if I was to say something about him personally. So that's what it comes down to. Fighters are sensitive, and I'm not any different. I'm just as sensitive as most of those guys are, and girls. So I understand it, but it doesn't change the fact that I do have a job to do. And actually, the last time that he kind of came at me, I don't think he was coming at me. I think he was coming at Belal, and I just happened to be sitting next to Belal on TV. And I think that's because Belal said something about Jose Aldo that, or that Max Holloway was the first person to dethrone Max Holloway in over a decade, and which is, it's hard to. We have so many things going on at the desk. There's so many people.
It's hard no matter what. I know.
All you guys see on the TV is a desk and three people. Like behind those cameras, there's a lot of shit going on. So Belal misspoke. It was an accident, and Conor, like I said, like that's criticizing his career and his actual work in the octagon. That's going to be more offensive to him than anything you can say. So I get it. He was pissed. And he's Conor McGregor, so he's got a big following. And once he jumps on you, the people are going to pile on.
Yeah, no, I agree. Anthony, thanks so much for doing this, man. Speedy recovery on the injuries and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to getting you back in the cage this year. Anyone you want to thank? Any sponsors, any social media before we get out of here? I'll give you the last word.
No, man, just thank the fans as always. I always feel like I do that when I'm with you. I appreciate the hell out of people. Social media, Twitter and Instagram is at Lionheart A Smith. Come check it out.